Plans for Chris Jericho to work with CM Punk upon Punk's AEW return have now been revealed. An update on Warner Bros. Discovery being told by AEW that a CM Punk return to the company is indeed happening. Also an update on the potential AEW roster split ahead of the debut of this new Saturday AEW Collision show. A big update on all of the things happening with Punk's return in today's video. Also, Rey Fenix is going to have to take some time off to heal after he's pretty banged up with injuries right now. An update on the special start time for Dynamite this week on TBS. Will Osprey opens up on his professional wrestling future. Matches have been announced for this week's edition of AEW Dark Elevation. And Hangman Adam Page opens up about the AEW House Rules events. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrest News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. And we said yesterday, and my spidey senses were certainly tingling, that with Chris Jericho's recent social media post talking a lot about Phil Brooks, also known as CM Punk, that maybe, just maybe, Jericho could be Punk's opponent when he returns to All Elite Wrestling. And it looks like the spidey senses were indeed accurate, because it's being reported today that Punk's first opponent, when he comes back to All Elite Wrestling, could be none other than the Ocho himself. Now, the saga of CM Punk could thankfully be coming to some sort of a resolution for AEW, with the star now expected to make his return to the company over the summer. The former AEW World Champion has not been seen in the company since his backstage fight with the Elite following AEW All Out in September 2022. Everyone involved in the fight was suspended as a result, but the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have since returned. Now, a recent report noted that the wheels are in motion for CM Punk to return to AEW, despite a more recent shot the star took on social media aimed at Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho. Despite a return looking increasingly likely for Punk, it still seems, though, that the Elite doesn't want anything to do with the former AEW World Champion. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, Andrew Zarian noted that the Elite, quote, has no intention of working with the former AEW World Champion. This is what he said, quote, he being Punk, had recently said he wants to return to AEW and he wants to make it work. The issue here is he's willing to work with the Elite members. I know as of the time I was told, and early this week, that there was no intention on the other side. Maybe Kenny a little bit more than the Bucks, but they do not want to work with him. There has been no dialogue between the two sides either about sitting down and making this work. So certainly the feeling is from the Elite side of things, they want nothing to do with CM Punk. They don't want to work with him. They have no intention of working with him. However, CM Punk does want to make it work. Now, when it comes to an AEW return, according to Andrew Zarian in this discussion on Wrestling Observer Live, Warner Bros. Discovery are reportedly very involved with CM Punk's return to All Elite Wrestling, according to Andrew Zarian on Wrestling Observer Live. As I mentioned, Punk looks to be on his way back to AEW, and reports have indicated he will be the star of AEW's new Saturday night show Collision that will debut in June on TNT in the United States. The new show will reportedly come with a soft roster split that will probably see Chris Jericho featured on Collision, as he is likely to feud with CM Punk when the straight edge superstar returns. Punk's return is seemingly positive for AEW's relations with Warner Bros. Discovery, as the media conglomerate are, quote, very involved with the 44-year-old's comeback and are gung-ho about the situation, Andrew Zarian reported on Wrestling Observer Live. Warner Bros. Discovery have also already been informed that Punk is indeed coming back to All Elite Wrestling, saying, quote, Warner Media is very involved in this and they are very gung-ho that CM Punk is back. I don't believe they pushed Tony to bring him back, but I think they really genuinely appreciate he's back because they know he's going to bring big ratings. And this is a positive for AEW when you're working with a content partner in that way and you're in a contract negotiation year, Zarian said. He later added, Warner has been told he's coming back, so they are very much aware of the situation. Now, as I mentioned, these quotes are certainly very interesting coming from Andrew Zarian. We have more about this. Again, speaking on this was actually yesterday's edition of Wrestling Observer Live. Andrew Zarian provided an update noting that, as I mentioned, Warner Bros. Discovery have been informed that CM Punk is returning, saying, quote, I know for a fact Warner has been told he's coming back. They are very much aware of the situation. He had said he is willing to return to AEW and he wants to make it work. work. So the issue here is he's willing to work with the Elite members. I know as of the time I was told, and as of early this week, there are no intention on the other side. Maybe Kenny a little bit more than the Bucks, but I know they do not want to work with him. There's been no dialogue between the two sides either regarding sitting down and making this work. Now, regarding this AEW Saturday show, as I mentioned, this soft brand split, this soft roster split, by all accounts, actually isn't going to be as soft as previously first thought. Initially, when he first reported it on the Mat Men podcast, it was said to be a very soft, sort of unofficial thing. That might not actually be the case now. He said, quote, "The plans have been put in place to possibly have a tentative Saturday show to be the soft brand split. When I used that term yesterday on Mat Men, I was told that it's less soft than I'm putting out there. I guess there will be people that are predominantly on the other show, on the Saturday show." So he's saying that some people, it's not going to be a case of, oh, they're sometimes on the Saturday show, they're sometimes on Dynamite. No, there are going to be guys that are just primarily, they're on the Saturday show. That's the only time you're going to see him. And one of those people most likely is CM Punk. Zarian continued to mention the planned meeting involving Punk, Tony Khan, Chris Jericho, and FTR, seemingly big players in an upcoming feud between all parties, I guess, on AEW television. He noted that the main program on the Saturday show will likely involve Punk and Jericho. Zarian continued saying, quote, "I've heard this from multiple people, and the way it was alluded to me is that the program will probably be Punk and Jericho in some capacity. I don't know if FTR is involved or Jericho Society is involved, but you know what? That's a very smart way to do this. Jericho has presented himself as a locker room leader. Jericho came out and said he's toxic or whatever he said, and he's willing to make this work because he realizes that there's money in this. So Jericho and Punk reportedly is going to be presented as the main program of this AEW Saturday show. Reportedly it is going to be CM Punk versus Chris Jericho in AEW. And now, and this is kind of what I was alluding to yesterday, when Jericho's doing these really blatant things on social media, saying I don't want to work with CM Punk, saying I'm not going to play around, putting posts on Instagram where he's changing the location to Chicago, Illinois, it's so blatant, it's so in your face that it just begins to feel like a work. So it would appear that despite Jericho legitimately having issues with CM Punk, he feels, being the guy that he is, at 52 years of age and being around in pro wrestling, as long as he's been around for, he thinks to himself, there's money to be made in this, there's money to be made in real life issues. And we know that Jericho is very famous in AEW for, let's say, latching himself on to somebody who's getting over, or somebody that's getting a lot of attention, or somebody that can get him in the spotlight. And right now, CM Punk could absolutely get him front and center in the spotlight, and Jericho's making sure he's going to be a part of it. So I guess a classic Chris Jericho thing to do, but reportedly plans are in place for Jericho to work with CM Punk. Are you a fan of this? Are you in favor of this? Does this make sense to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Punk versus Jericho in All Elite Wrestling. Now, we'd spoken previously about Rey Fénix being pretty banged up at the moment, and because of that, he's going to take some time off. According to PW Insider Elite, Rey Fénix is taking some time off to rest as he is banged up at the moment. It's unknown if he's dealing with a specific injury, but it could be an issue with his hip. How long Fénix will be away from the ring is currently unknown. The Luchador was said to be hurting after the Lucha Brothers successfully defended the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships against Powerhouse Hobbs and QT Marshall at AEW Battle of the Belt 6, which aired on April 7. After the taping, it was reportedly decided that Fénix would have some time off to rest. He was not present on last week's edition of Dynamite. He didn't appear on night one of AAA's Triple Mania show yesterday, that being April 16. Fénix has been a featured performer along with his brother Penta El Zero Miedo in All Elite Wrestling since the promotion was founded. They are the reigning Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, having won the vacant titles in the Reach for the Sky ladder match at Supercard of Honor on March 31st. Of course, the Lucha Bros are also former AEW World Tag Team Champions and 2/3 of former Trios Champions with Death Triangle as well. So we wish Rey Fénix all the best as he recovers up from some injuries. Now, just a bit of a reminder that AEW Dynamite's actually got a bit of a special start time, depending where you are in the world, it must be said. The April 19 episode of AEW Dynamite has a special start time, and Tony Khan would like to remind us all of this. The upcoming episode will be broadcast live from the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On the episode, AEW fans will see Powerhouse Hobbs defend the TNT title against Wardlow. Elsewhere on the announced card, Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker will take on Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. Jay White faces Commander. The Acclaim take on on the Jericho Appreciation Society too. We'll also see Chris Jericho confront Adam Cole and hear from both the Elite and FTR. AEW President Tony Khan reminded his followers of the special broadcast time on Twitter, posting, quote, "Good morning. Just a reminder that Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite will be live coast to coast on TBS this week, which means a special start time of 5 p.m. Pacific time and our usual time on the East Coast / Midwest, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So if you are in the United States and in one of those areas, there's a bit of a special start time." Will Osprey has opened up about his pro wrestling future. He's opened up about his current health and future as a wrestler as he prepares for an in-ring return. The New Japan star sustained a shoulder injury in his match against Mark Davis on March 13 and was only recently cleared to compete in his upcoming match at 1PW All or Nothing on April 22nd at Doncaster Dome. Speaking about medical clearance, Osprey has cast doubts on his future in wrestling, though has promised to enjoy the ride. Speaking in a video on Instagram, Osprey said, quote, "I got medically cleared 2 days ago and it's a weird one. I've seen my physio now for about 5 weeks. I've got the range of motion back in my arm. The strength is there somewhat. Because I was able to complete 4 strength exercises, apparently I'm medically cleared. It does feel a lot better, but I still feel like there's a lot of weakness in my arm. Obviously, the sensible answer is to take a little bit more time off. But over the last 48 hours, I've been reminiscing and thinking about my 11-year career. It's been incredible, but the one thing that has been constant, especially in these last few years, is the injuries have stacked up a lot more recently. It's because I'm getting older as well. It's because I'm getting heavier. Because of that, the moveset I started when I was 22 years old has kind of vanished and disappeared. Not out of choice, but because my body can't do it anymore. I can't perform a shooting star press safely anymore, so I've decided it's best to cut it out. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I feel like my body and me personally are deteriorating in front of everybody's eyes. It's upsetting, but I chose to do this style. I understand the risks that come with this style, but it's one that suits me down to a T, and I think everyone enjoys it. So having that said, I don't know if this ride is going to be a long one, if everyone understands what I mean. Having said that, I'm from Essex. I don't think I'd reach this far in my career anyway. So I'm going to enjoy myself and hope for the best. I'm going to have to change things up a lot, but I am going to compete. I am going to come back. I'm going to do the best of my abilities to do this match as much as I physically can. But I don't know how long this ride is going to be. I'll be honest with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this ride. That's all. Much love, guys. So we wish Will Osprey the best, obviously, as he comes back from his injury as well. Matches have been announced for tonight's episode of AEW Dark Elevation. Monday's show will feature 4 matches taped on April 5 from the UBS Arena in Elmont, New York. Makioto will face Ashley D'Amboise on this week's episode. D'Amboise is coming off a loss to Athena in a Proving Grounds match on Ring of Honor television last week. For Oto, it will be her first match in AEW this year. She's back in Japan now and wrestled on a TJPW show this past weekend. Also on the TJPW show was the Princess Champion Mizuki, who will face Emi Sakura in her AEW debut on Dark Elevation tonight as well. Matches involving the Jericho Appreciation Society, Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy are also scheduled as well for tonight's episode. Finally, Hangman Adam Page has opened up on the AEW House Rules shows. Over the recent months, AEW have been referring to many of their talents as homegrown stars developing in the company. During a recent match between Anna Jay and Julia Hart, AEW commentators Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone highlighted how young the competitors were AEW originals. Additionally, taking pops at WWE with the Jericho Appreciation Society, calling themselves sports entertainers, and the creation of the Outcast, a faction of 3 former WWE superstars. Nevertheless, several of these young stars are becoming household names, but former AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page is delighted that AEW has also announced plans for house shows, which are non-televised events, as these will give talent the opportunity to further develop their skills. Page appeared on WXFR to discuss the importance of house shows and how the AEW locker room should be excited at the opportunities these shows will create. He said, quote, "They are a good opportunity for younger guys to learn. They're a good opportunity for guys like me to let our hair down, have fun, not worry about the constraints of television. So I'm really excited about that. It's a good opportunity to visit somewhere like Roanoke, like Salem. Maybe it's a test, and if it does really well, maybe we'll come back for television next time." So Hangman Adam Page is excited for more House Rules show. But there you go, guys. That's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.